I could rock Brill, I reckon. Brill. I'm big enough to be a Brill. Too fat to be a Phil. So, what is money? It's funny, I talked to the leadership about this the other week, and Matt said I don't do enough messages that don't create enough opportunities for offence. Something along them lines. And I thought, I haven't spoke about money for 15 years. And then I thought, what's the chances of lots of new people showing up on that week? And there's a few new people in the room. Welcome. I haven't spoken about money for 15 years in this church. So maybe you need to hear something. But let's address the elephant in the room, and I don't mean me. I mean, most people hate churches talking about money, especially in the UK. If you're visitors from the USA, it's a bit more normal out there than here, but in the UK, we hate it. Even the people who run churches hate doing it. We hate talking about it. Most people hate it, and so I apologize in advance. Sorry, not sorry. But, like I said, haven't done it for 15 years, and so this is very rare, but I want to clarify right off the bat so you can switch back on. Let me say something really clearly. This is not a fundraising drive. Right off the bat, that's not what I'm doing. It's not a fundraising drive, so you can unclench, you can relax, all right? It's not what this is. We're not like that at this church, all right? We're completely different than a lot of churches, but I get it. I get the warming of the body and getting annoyed already before I've even opened my mouth, because I get it. I've visited churches before where the offering's longer than the message. And it takes like 10 minutes of explaining the 19 ways in which you can give, and then another 15 minutes to 3 people sharing their testimony about how tithing has changed their life, and all that stuff. We don't roll like that at this church, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we're not that culture. We don't do that. Our culture, there's no plate passing. You're more likely to get a bowl of sweets handed around here than a plate passing. We don't send a bucket round unless you're feeling poorly. There's no pressure moment. There's no pressure moments to give. JP just talked to you about an offering that we're doing on Easter Sunday. We haven't done that for years. Okay, there's no pressure moments. You don't want to give, you don't give. Our culture is completely different. We just have a donation station at the back there. That's it. You want to give. You don't. That's it. And so, with that explained clearly, hopefully, I want to be clear. I'm genuinely, and those in the room who know me well know when I say things, I mean things. I am genuinely not worried about our income as a church. This is not what this is about. I'm not saying we need to get more the roofs falling in, or we have got a leaky window, but that's fine. Tony will sort that out. But I'm not trying to raise funds for some patching a hole or keeping the lights on. I'm not talking about that. All right? And for transparency, I'm employed by the charity. The trustees employ me to do lots of different jobs. One of them is running church services and building church. Others are food bank, administration, youth, all the stuff you wouldn't want to do, all the stuff I don't want to do. So for transparency, I'm employed, but I'm not asking for money. We have a small group, and it is a small group of people who give sacrificially to run this church and to impact this town and beyond, and I honor them. So I'm not trying to play them down either, but I'm not trying to recruit more of them today. All right, so you can relax and enjoy. Hopefully, I want to be clear. Most of our staffing costs as a charity are covered by grants that are outside the church and nothing to do with the church. We're not looking for that. I want to be clear. If I was motivated by money, I would stay in my old profession, and I would have earned double. So I'm not motivated by those things. But here's the interesting thing, is that Jesus talked about money more than almost anything else. And when I wrote that in my notes, and that hit me like a smack in the face, because I'm like, you haven't spoken about money for 15 years, Phil. Put your big boy pants on. Stop chickening out. Jesus talked about it regularly, and so I want to do that today, because money shapes almost every decision in our life. I think that's why Jesus would talk about it. He used it a lot to describe and make us understand other things, but it shapes almost every decision. Where we live, and it does, because if you haven't got enough money to live there, you have to live somewhere else. What jobs we take, I'm not going to do that job for that money, or I need the money, so I have to take this job because there's nothing else. It often shapes what we worry about, and even what we hope for. But here's the strange thing, that most people have never actually been taught what money is? I really want you to think about that just for a minute. How it's so foundational in so many areas of our life, and yet not many people have actually been taught what money is. And I think one reason that Jesus talked about money so much is because this, and don't throw anything at me, but I believe that most people don't actually know what money is. And I don't mean all the concepts. Or what you spend it on, or what's a good idea, or being sensible, or being a good steward. I'm not talking about any of that at the moment. I think most people don't even actually understand what money is, let alone its impact. And so, we know how to spend money. Who's good at spending money? Oh, the lady with the shoes. Oh, yeah. You don't need more than 3 pairs of shoes. A day. I meant a day. More than even. You don't need more than 3 pairs of shoes. That's what I keep telling my wife. I think actually I've got more shoes than my wife. Pretty sure. I don't wear any of them other than these boots. Some of you think, why don't you get some new boots, Phil? You've been wearing them, so look at the mess of them. They're ridiculous. Excuse me. We know how to spend money. Some of you are really good at earning money. Some of you are good at using money for certain things, for aims. But most people have never asked, what actually is money? Let's have a quick show. Who's actually taught about money in school? Anyone in the room? Are you guys taught about money in school then? Not really. Not yet. No, not ever. You might do economics or something. I always used to think home economics was about money. It wasn't just about sewing and knitting and stuff in my day. None of us are taught about money in school. Some of you might have in your job, but very few of us were actually taught about money or about what money is. And here's something that might surprise some of you, others it won't surprise at all, but most of the money in the world doesn't even actually physically exist. Like a long time ago, the money existed. Now the money doesn't exist. It's weird, it's a weird concept to wrap your head around. It's just numbers in computers. And if you're sort of IT literate, you understand all that. If you're not, you're like, it's just magic. Money, magic in computers. But over the next 3 weeks, I want to look at what is money. I want to look at why does money never seem to satisfy us? And thirdly, what is money actually for in the kingdom of God? And so today I want to start with that first question, which is, what is money? That's what I want to start off, and I'm going to be really clear. Today, I know there's a breadth of understanding in the room. We've got youth in the room as well today on this Sunday, all the way up to people who understand this far more than me, okay? And what I want to do just today is bring us all up to the first peg of understanding, if that's okay. So I don't want to preach to the lowest common denominator all the time, but what I want to do is, because so many people don't understand money, I want us to bring us all on board. So over the next 2 or 3 weeks, we can then delve deeper into it. And to make it nice and easy, I'm going to just do one scripture today, which Kaylee's happy about because she hasn't got to keep doing stuff at the back. But I'm just going to talk about one scripture, and that is it. Next few weeks, we're going to explore very many more. But so let's get into it. Money. What is it? The definition is widely accepted, and you can argue this, but it's a way to store value and to transfer value. It's a way of storing value and a way of transferring value. To store it so you have it for longer in a jar, you've got it, it's stored for later, but a way to actually transfer it to someone else as well. That's effectively what money does. We understand that principle, even if you've never thought about it in them words. And if you work today, you can earn money, and really we're earning that money, hopefully, for tomorrow. Hopefully you don't get paid daily and spend it straight away. That wouldn't be sensible, but often we do it in the longest term thinking for many of us, and we'll get onto that in future. But if we work today and earn money, that money stores the value of your work. So you're doing this work to store value. That's what you're doing. You might not think about it like that, but you're doing your work, you're doing your whole week at work or your month, however you get paid, so that when you get that money, you've got a store of value of the work that you've done. That's representing all the work that you've done that you've stored up, like a battery, if you like. It's stored energy ready to be transferred to someone else or used for something. It's ready to go. And so, later, we think, oh, I'd like to buy something. And who's really bad at spending money? Who doesn't? Who hates? When I met my wife, honestly, she'd just be like spending money, hot chocolates in the train station. I'm like, well, you're wasting money. Now I love it. She goes through Aldi, the cheapest supermarket. Go, how much? I love it. Transformed her across the years. Steph McScrooge. No, she's still very generous, but she doesn't like spending more money than she has to on anything, which I really appreciate. But later, we've stored that value of our work. We've worked hard, we've stored the value. Now we want to go and buy something, and the money transfers the value to someone else. So we go to the shop down the road, and we say, I'll have one of these, and we give them card or money, and that value transfers to them. The value of your work, that effort, has now been transferred to them. And we understand this is how it works. But there's a deeper layer underneath all this. So most of us understand that already. It's stored value, we transfer it to somebody else. They've now got it. We don't have it anymore. We have the Costa instead. And they've got the value in their till or in their hand or in their bank account or in their code. But there's a deeper layer to all this. I want to go deeper. Underneath all of this is the fact that money runs on trust. All right? Money runs on trust. And if I'm like I said earlier, I want to do the very bottom. I want to really build the foundational stuff for the people in the room who just don't. If you're thinking on this is, well, money is money, isn't it? That's who I'm talking to today. For you guys who are just, well, money's just money. That's what it is. That's as deep as it goes. I'm talking to you today. I want to go deeper. Money is built on trust. It runs on trust. I've got a nice little side for you. That money equals value plus trust. It needs both of them things to happen. We need to trust. If people stop trusting money, it stops working. It stops being money, in fact. And it's a weird system when you think about it. If you never thought about it in that way, if everyone just decided, we don't trust this anymore, it stops being money. You can't use it to exchange value. For instance, here we go. Some of you like this. Who'd like some free money? Oh, now you perk up, I see. Now you like me talking about money. I'm all on board now. Who'd like some money? Who would like some money? Who likes free money? Free money tastes better, doesn't it? Got a £5 note, or I've got a £5 Monopoly money, and it's a bonus because it's Disney Monopoly money. It's got Scrooge McDuck on it. So got 5. So like, if I were to offer you, Reuben, one of these 2 5s, which one would you like? You'd like the Monopoly one, okay. He's a moron, right? You see, I'm only joking. His dad on the front row there was like this. He's a mortgage advisor. Okay, here we go. Let's go to someone more sensible. If I offered you this £5 or the Monopoly £5, which one would you like? You'd like this one. What would you like? Which one would you like? You'd like this one. You see the pattern here, Rue? Trying to ruin my game. What one would you like? Yeah, you. Either of you. You'd all want the £5. You'd all want the £5, apart from Reuben, who wants the Monopoly money. And the thing is, there are 2 bits of paper here, although this is now on plastic. It used to be paper. When I go to America, your money feels like pretend money to us. It feels like Monopoly money, doesn't it? It's like, really, this isn't money, but it is in your system. It's your money. We have now this really brilliant product of plastic money that does not fold. This would survive a nuclear war. They should build buildings out of it. I hate it. You go to put any at the bank and they get annoyed at you that they're not flat. They're like, I'll flat them. I don't shout at the bank tellers. I don't do that anymore, I've been told. But these 2 things are 2 pieces of paper or plastic here. Both say £5 on them. Both have a 5 on them. Both have ink on them. And if I offered you one of these, you'd choose probably the real £5. But here's the interesting thing. Why? That's where it gets interesting, is why would you choose the real one? Both are on paper, both say £5, both look like money. This one looks more like your American money, granted. It's got a Donald on. No, it's not Donald. Scrooge. Donald's cousin? Uncle? Uncle. Scrooge McDuck is his uncle. But the difference is, you trust this one. You trust this one. You don't trust this one. You don't trust this one. But you trust this one. Shops accept it. You trust that shops will accept it. Don't you? You trust that they're going to accept it. You don't go in Tesco's with this because you're pretty much sure you trust they ain't going to accept that. I tried. You trust that banks recognize it. That the Bank of England will say, yeah, that's fine, that counts. You go in with that, good luck. Actually, going with that anymore, it's very difficult to put cash in a bank anymore. Try putting a check in now. But you also understand that the UK economy backs it. That's what we understand. We trust it. And so, when you think about it, this isn't really money. It's like a token of trust. That's what it is. It's like a token of trust. It could be a coin, it could be wood, it could be anything. It's like just a representation, a token, an icon, a token of trust. This is a bit of paper with ink on it. And there's the difference. And I tell you what, you can have that, Reuben. Oh, wow. You can have that one as well. Look, I'll just give money away. You can have that. Look. Ha ha. You feel a bit silly now, don't you? Yeah, can I have... that is R5. Yeah, get him off that later. I do this a lot when I borrow money to give away as prizes at youth or anything like that. I usually take it out of Joel's money box. It's just the way he gives to the church. It's just... No. We always give it back. No interest, mind you, but we always give it back. But the only difference is really about them two things is trust. That's all it is. The only difference really, all right, the paper's a bit finer quality, you've got the marks in it, but really what it comes down to is trust. You trust the shops accept it, you trust the banks recognise it, you trust that it's backed by the UK economy and government. It's a token of trust is what it is. And so what I want to do quickly is to just hammer this point home, and I'm really just building to one thing today, and that's all I'm going to leave you with is just one thing, but I want to build there. I want to do, just for fun, a little quick history of money. And the reason we know that money runs on trust is because it's taken many different forms through the year. It's not about the money, it's about trust itself. And so human beings kept inventing new forms of money. And the one reason for that, really, is because it made trust easier. It made the exchange easier. It just meant it was easier to follow. And so, like, at the beginning, and we reminisce about this with the kids, we used to barter. We used to trade things. That's how we done things. Before any of the concept of money came about, it'd be like, I've got some eggs, you've got some bread, let's get them together, let's have egg on toast. No, we would swap, we would barter. We would say, I'll give you this for that. And sometimes the exchange rate of them things would change. If there weren't a lot of eggs but lots of bread, all of a sudden the exchange rate was different than that. And so it's like you only got one loaf of 2 eggs, but before you'd have to pay 12. And that was the system that we worked to. And everyone was sort of happy with it, but it was really, can I be frank, rubbish. And the reason that it's rubbish is what economists call the double coincidence of wants. What that means is it's a coincidence you happen to be near someone who wants the thing that you've got and you want the thing that they've got. It's very, like, just imagine this. You don't often, and they do it now we're so well connected, but like on Gumtree or any form of, was it Craigslist or something in the state, like an eBay like type selling thing. You generally say, I've got this item, who wants to give me cash for it? Sometimes they'll say, I've got this item, who will give me a motorbike for my sunbed? Like, and it might take years and years to find that one person who's got a sunbed, who wants to get rid of the sunbed for a motorbike, and they want that motorbike, and you want, like, it just doesn't work very well. And we understand that. And if you don't understand that, you try it. You try trading with your friends with just your stuff. Oh, I remember Joel done that. He took into, I love the business-mindedness of it. He took all of his stuff at home that he didn't really want anymore and started trading it at school for things. I was like, this is brilliant. Then he was told he's not allowed to do that. Not supposed to have them sort of free market ideas. We live in England. Or the head teacher could have taken half of it. That was what he should have done instead. And so we understand that this is how it all started, but soon we realized this was rubbish, and so we transferred to commodities. we started trading in commodities, in things that everyone sort of agreed had value. Everyone agreed salt had value because of the properties of salt. It's a very good thing to have. We understand that cows for the meat or for the hide or for the milk, all different values that it has, that it can hold, that we can sell in, we can trade in. And they might not want a cow, but they hold the cow and then give it to someone else who holds the cow, who wants the cow, because it stores the value. We've done it with even shells. We've done it with grain, and you can still trade commodities. I think the first form, I suppose, was like tea bricks that were compressed, and you could sell in tea. I could get on board with that. I like a nice cuppa. But these became the early forms of money, the stored value. These are the sort of the first sorts of money. And then thousands of years ago, people found a better way, and I'm glad they did. They then came up with coins, with metals, to use metals to trade. This is a much better idea than having to carry a cow around just in case you wanted to buy a sunbed. You know, a much better idea to have some coins or some metals that actually that had value. And we used to use gold and silver, a lot other metals as well, but they became dominant, gold and silver, because they were durable, even though gold's quite soft. That's why pirates bite it. Check it's gold. It was portable. You could move it to even fund wars. It's much easier to fund a war with lots of gold coins than it is, all right, let's take 4,000 camels. It's much easier. Imagine taking all that on BAF, like, I want to take 1,000 camels with me that cost you a fortune. But they were portable, they were durable, and they were hard to fake. And that was important as well. And around 600 BC, rulers began stamping coins. That's what they'd done. They started stamping coins with the head of state or whoever was important. And by doing this, they guaranteed the weight and purity. Because what people used to do was break bits off, meld it, and try and put another metal mixed in with it. But the stamp was to say, hey, this is how much it's worth. And everyone has agreed in trust, this is how much it's worth. And we give it to each other instead of cows or service or any other thing. This created what we called standardized money. And so then in the late 1600s, this is a great move. They then invented the paper note. Oh, that was a much better idea than all the... You know what really annoys me? I'll reveal my heart today. 1p's and 2p coins. Do my head in. Brown money, as I call it. The coppers. They're not... Like, you can't buy anything with them. And I hate it when they charge you 99p. And not because I'm generous. I say, keep the change. I don't want my wallet full of 1s and 2p's. But the coins, the idea was very good. It moved to notes. And it created an easier way to carry. And what it used to do was, and it is used to do, not anymore, it used to represent, that note represented a weight in gold. Now, you can put that back, please. The weight in gold. So it was tied to gold. So when you had a note, it's like this note represents this weight of gold, which meant you could take it to the bank. I've got my note. I want to trade it for the gold. That's how it used to work. And some believe that this is the best system that ever existed and hate the fact that we come off of it. And this is called the gold standard. Anyone heard of that? The gold standard. This was the gold standard where the currency was tied to actual metal, actual gold that had value, because we agreed it had value, even though gold has values for lots of different things in engineering and industry and all that sort of stuff. But just because we've deemed it to be valuable. Excuse me. And then in 1931, Britain came off the gold standard, which is smart. And then 1971, the United States followed. And we no longer have the gold standard. So we have the notes, but it's not backed by anything. You now have a note, you take it to the bank, and they go, I ain't giving you nothing for that. And that's the whole system changed then. The whole system changed, and we might get into that a little bit more in the weeks to come. But modern money today is different. Most currencies aren't backed by gold at all. Instead, they're backed by the government. They're backed by the government to say, we haven't got any gold, but we've got enough in the future of our country and what we can get that we back that. So we're dad and mum, bank of dad and mum. We'll cover it. We're covering that note. Everyone trusts us because we're big enough. We've got enough resource, and so it's tied to the government rather than what the government held in gold. And like I said, some people think this is the worst thing that ever happened to currencies. Other people think it's brilliant. And I'm not here to go into the politics of that. I don't care. It's irrelevant to what I'm talking about today. And I want to be clear. It doesn't mean money's fake now. It just means its value comes from just a trusted system. That's it. There's nothing behind it. It's just a trusted system rather than physical stuff. Stay with me, I'm nearly there. And then by the 1980s and 90s, pretty much everyone moved to digital money. Everything moved to digital money. And like, it's funny because I read lots of studies on this before about when we pay with our card or our phone without actually giving a physical thing away. It's weird. It does something different in our brain. You know what it does in our brain when we pay with our contactless? Nothing. When we pay with gold or coins or money and we hand it across, gripping it, it's the same senses in the brain that go off when we are in pain. It is. And that's why it hurts to pay for something, which is why we now overspend all the time, because beep, 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 really easy. Little side note there. But in a short space of time, we've gone from metal to paper to digital to just computer code. And today, most money isn't physical at all. It exists as numbers in a bank account, which is all on trust. And if you're someone like me who doesn't trust easily, that might freak you out a little. But think about the contactless payment. You got a little card, you tap on the thing, and then magic, you have a coffee in your hand until it goes down like the shop next door. That went down this morning, is that right? And then what happens? Everyone panics. Because we have no money, we have nothing of value. These are just computer code that we're sharing to get my coffee. It's very dangerous if Sally doesn't have her coffee. Where is she? But that whole system, that beep, coffee in hand, that only works because everyone involved trusts the system. And then lastly, in 2009, I think it was, we had the start of cryptocurrencies. A digital currency, yes, Bitcoin probably being the most famous. But it's existing entirely online, but outside the control of the central banks. Some of you are freaked out by that. Some of you think, what a great idea. But what does it tell us? Money's changed form repeatedly. Money's changed repeatedly. The way it looks, the way it handles, the mechanism by which we do it, from shells to metals to paper to digital numbers, which means something very important. Money itself is actually not the thing we trust. We trust the system behind it. It's not the thing, it's the system, it's the concept. And what I want to hone in today on now is the teachings of Jesus. One little tiny scripture that smacked me in the face. Matthew 6:24 said this. Have we got it? No one, check it, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. And then he clarifies, you cannot serve, check it, both God and money. You can't serve both them things. You get to choose one. No one can do it. Not even you. In the King James, it says about, instead of using the word money, it uses the word mammon. Most of you have probably heard that term. Instead of money, it uses the word mammon. And what is mammon? In the old, I like the King James version of it. Rather than just the thing of money, I think we just think of notes if we think money. Money. I think mammon is a better phrase from the King James. And what does mammon mean? It means effectively, it's an Aramaic word, but it's referring to the wealth of possessions. But in Jesus' reference in this, in teaching, it's talking about wealth that people place their trust in. Remember, the whole thing of money is about trust in a system. And Jesus talked about mammon. You can't serve mammon. You can't serve wealth, money. You can't serve it. You can't serve wealth that we put our trust in. We can't put our trust in money. Wealth that people place their trust in. And I want to bring it home. Because many of us think, I don't do that. I don't do that. For many of us in the room, perhaps we do a little. We trust our salary. It's coming in monthly. We've got all our ducks in a row. You're really good with money. Let's back it up even more. We trust our ability to get our salary because we're brilliant at our job. And then we trust that is enough that will sustain us through life. We trust it's enough. And maybe you're in a position where you don't trust that's enough and you want to get a pay rise and everything costs so much in this day and age. But generally speaking, many of us can put a trust in what we earn in salary. For some of you a bit further down the line, perhaps, or smarter, or grew up in a different family, maybe it's the assets that you hold. Some of you might hold assets and you got them in the market, or you got them in property or whatever, and you trust that. You got a little bit of trust, it's like your little backstop just in case this goes wrong. I've got this because I trust that I'm going to be all right. My family's going to be all right. My grandkids will even be all right because we've got this trust. Some of you are trusting your parents' property, and you're waiting for, not in a horrible way like you want to kill them off and you want to get that, but in some regard, you're thinking, we'll be all right because when they die, we'll have that and we can leverage that. And I'm trusting in that, and it will be okay. And it will be okay because we've got that. Not because we're in Christ. We'll be okay because we've got that. For some of you, we'll be okay because I've got my job. We'll be okay because I've got the asset coming. You'll be okay because I've got some Bitcoin, and it might blow up at some point. Trusting in that, hoping in that. I want to be real clear. Jesus did not say money is evil. He didn't say that. The scripture's about the love of money, and we'll come on to that in future weeks. But he didn't say money is evil. He says money can become a master when you trust in it. And we have to trust in it as a mechanism of how we exchange value, but we're not supposed to trust it. We're not supposed to trust it. I put this, money becomes dangerous when it competes with God for our trust. That's when it's dangerous. When we trust in that rather than our Father in heaven. Money or mammon, wealth we place trust in, whatever it looks like, has its own liturgy. And we don't use that word much in this church. But what is liturgy? A repeated practice that shapes belief. You know, they use that word in Anglican church all the time, and talking about singing and praising and worshiping and prayer and communion. All them things are the liturgy, the repeated practices that shape our belief. But money or mammon has its own liturgy. It has its own repeated practices. Daily money liturgies, repeated practices like checking your bank balance. For some of you in the room, that's like, you never do that. You daren't. If you don't look at it, it's not there. Or it could be comparing lifestyles online. Someone else's best bits versus your worst. It can be linking identity to salary. Like for some people, the more you earn, the better you feel about yourself. It has that dopamine effect. It has that status effect. It has a confidence effect. That I can trust in my ability because my salary sort of is linked to my identity. On the other end of the spectrum, worrying about the future. That's a liturgy of money. What are we going to do? That thing, how am I going to pay for that? What happens if the boiler breaks? What happens if this? It's a repeated practice that shapes our belief and what we trust in. Maybe you've got confidence in your ISA. Maybe you've grown it over the years. Your daily liturgy is thinking, oh, look how big it is. I've done this thing the other day. I know this is ridiculous. Like, I don't really play the lottery, right? But it's up to, I just saw it I went through Audi or something. It was on there. It was 189 million. Ridiculous amount of money. Imagine winning that. Imagine winning 189 million. And I was watching the kids at jiu-jitsu or MMA, and I was thinking, what's the interest on that? And I was typed in an interest calculator and a withdrawal. I was like, flipping heck! I can't remember how much it was. It was like £11 million a year or something. It was if it's in stocks and shares. I was like, who needs that level of money? It's ridiculous. Excuse me. But we have these liturgies of money. We have these behaviors, these things that we repeat. Just like we come to church, we repeat prayer and singing and listening and all that sort of stuff, and communion and getting together with people and sharpening each other. All these practices that help us move toward God. But we have all these practices that lead us toward money being our master as well. They'll all look different to each of us. But mammon, that trust in wealth, disciples us every day. Just as Jesus can. Trusting in wealth disciples you in that direction of trusting in it. Mammon, trusting in wealth, it whispers things to us. It whispers things to us at night, or when we're on our own, or when that thing comes up. Like if you just had a little more, you'd finally feel secure. If you had a little bit more, If I just had that pay rise, if I can just get that promotion, if we can just pay the mortgage off, if we can just do this, then we'll be okay. And that's a normal sort of hierarchy of needs, want of being secure and safe. And some people, you're really up the end of the spectrum and drive for that. Others, it's just a nice benefit. But it's in all of us. And sometimes it's if we just had a little more, then we'll feel safe. Then we're secure. Then we're financially free. Trusting in wealth whispers in your ear, your worth is your net worth. Your worth is your net worth. Some of you in here aren't wired that way at all. Others, it will be big. And you want to build wealth. You want to build worth. You want to build your net worth because it somehow brings you worth. Once you have enough, then you can relax. Like if you won 189 million on Tuesday or whenever the draw is, then that would be enough. Can I tell you, that is enough. But you think if that happened, then that would be enough. But the problem is, enough keeps moving. Doesn't matter where you are, you're on minimum wage, or you're on benefits, or you own your own company, or you win 189 million, enough is always moving. It always moves. Wherever you are, it moves further from you. If you won the Euros on Tuesday, can I tell you, the stats say it will ruin your life. That's what the stats say. There's whole TED Talks on it about if you win the lottery, do these things, otherwise your life will fall apart. Most people can't handle it because we don't even know what money is. There's two discipleship systems that we're talking about here. Mammon, which teaches that wealth, that love of wealth, that reliant, that trust. It teaches fear. That's what it teaches. That's what we're discipling. And if we're trusting in our money, if we're loving money, if we're seeking money, it's teaching us fear. It's teaching us scarcity. Like, I've got to get there. There might not be enough. It teaches comparison, looking at other people. It teaches status. That's what the love of money, that's what mammon teaches. But Jesus teaches trust, contentment. Isn't it funny? That's almost like what we're seeking. When we get that thing, we're no longer content because enough has moved further away. That's what the love of money does. Where Jesus teaches contentment with where you are, what you have. It teaches generosity. Some of you think that's an ugly word. It teaches us freedom. And I want you to think about this as I finish. When anxiety hits your life, and maybe you're not an anxious person like I'm not. I don't get overwhelmed with anxiety, but some of you do. But when anxiety hits your life, in whatever regard and level it does in your life, where does your mind run first? Does it run to prayer? When something's happened economically, does it run to prayer? Or does it run to spreadsheets and bank statements and future projections and what debt you're in or what ISA savings you've got? Sadly, that's often where our trust actually lives, in what we have or what we know is coming, in our mammon. I think the reason that Jesus talks about money so much is not because money's evil, it's because money is very good at pretending to be God. It's really good at pretending to be God. And I think that's why Jesus talked about it so much. To say like, look at this and look at this. You see, money promises security. It promises control, which many of you desire. And for others in you, it promises peace. But it cannot actually deliver them things. It can't. If you ask anyone, I don't know if anyone in the room's here got any money. If you've got levels of money, I don't care. I don't treat you any different. You can have the same rubbish seat. The stained ones. But what I know of people in my past, in family and in church, and the people who got more money, can I tell you, they just worry about it even more. Some of you are like, I'd love that worry. Yeah, would you? Money's very good at pretending to be God. It promises security, it promises control, it promises peace, but it can't deliver. Money makes a terrible God. It really does. And yet all of the world is worshipping it. But it is a very useful servant. I want to finish with this. When money becomes your security, it becomes your master. But when God becomes your security, money becomes what it was always meant to be, which is a tool. That's what it's meant to be. When money becomes your security, it becomes your master. But when God becomes your security, money becomes what it's always meant to be, which is a tool. And so I ask you, where's your trust? Is it in your money? Is it in your mammon? Or is it in your Father? What do you seek first? Do you seek money? Or do you seek your Father's will? So what is money? If we understand it well and place it in its right place, it's a tool, I think, that God is happy for us to use. But if not, it becomes our master. They're the options. So I ask you, who do you serve? Money or God? Because you pick. And we'll pick this up next week. Let's pray.